welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Paul and I'm a certified This Naked Mind coach. Today I'm going to tell you how This Naked Mind came about and tell you a little bit about Annie Grace's story, the author of the book, and also my own story of what impact This Naked Mind has had on me. So I remember when I first read This Naked Mind, Annie Grace's best-selling book, about 6 years ago. I knew there was something different about the book, something that made it stand out from anything else I'd read about alcohol. As I listened my way through the audiobook, I felt something shift in me, and I knew that I would never be the same person again when it came to alcohol. I found myself questioning some of my fundamental assumptions and beliefs around alcohol. Was alcohol really de-stressing me at the end of the day? Was it actually necessary to have alcohol to enjoy a social occasion? Did I even enjoy the taste of wine and beer? Of course, I had no idea at the time that not only would it change my relationship with alcohol, but I would leave a career in the corporate world to become a personal coach certified by the Institute. So since its publication in 2015, This Naked Mind has sold over 1 million copies worldwide, and Annie's podcast has been downloaded 15 million times. An incredible 400,000 people have now been through the Alcohol Experiment, which is a free online course that helps people redefine their relationship with alcohol. And Annie wrote a second book to accompany the course. There's a This Naked Mind website which offers a variety of events and programs to help people with alcohol-related issues. And Annie has recently co-authored This Naked Mind Nicotine with William Porter, author of Alcohol Explained. And of course, Annie also founded the This Naked Mind Institute, which trains coaches like me to work with people individually or in groups to help them make alcohol a small and irrelevant part of their lives, and to help them build an increasingly meaningful and rewarding life. Clearly the project has resonated with people in a way that other programs have failed to do. I'm sure that at least in part this is because it didn't come from anything like the traditional sources of advice and help on alcohol. Before writing This Naked Mind, Annie was a senior marketing executive with a global company. She was successful, happily married with young children, but Annie found that the pressures of her job and a hectic international travel schedule added to the challenges of motherhood led to her drinking more and more, until she decided that something had to change. She couldn't work out why she was able to control other aspects of her life, but found it difficult to cut back on her drinking. She spent a year researching the science behind drinking and compiled her research into a PDF that she shared with some friends and colleagues. It went viral, and after thousands of people downloaded it, she was swamped with messages telling her how much the book had helped them. So she decided to publish it so she could reach a wider audience. There are many important insights in This Naked Mind, but one of the most important is the realization that people who want to stop drinking or cut back have a raging inner conflict in their minds. That conflict is the war between the part of the brain that wants to keep drinking and the part that wants to stop. The part of the brain that wants to keep drinking isn't evil, it isn't trying to harm us, but it's been fooled into desiring alcohol because its reward systems have been conned into seeing alcohol as critical for survival. These dopamine reward pathways are there because they have an evolutionary purpose. They're there from our times as hunter-gatherers who needed to be rewarded to help them find the things we needed as a species to survive: food, water, and a mate. The dopamine pathways are incredibly effective at rewarding us, not just for finding the thing that we're looking for, but also when we're getting close. Alcohol provides a very short-term and intense reward, so those reward systems of the brain create a craving for alcohol in regular drinkers. So on the one hand, you have these dopamine pathways making us crave alcohol, particularly when we're triggered by situations where we like to drink: pubs, airport lounges, weddings, and so on. And on the other hand, you have the rational part of the brain, which can see that our alcohol use is harming us. It's giving us hangovers, it's damaging our health, it's costing us a fortune, it might be damaging our relationships, our progress in our careers, and might even be getting us into legal trouble. This war is what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, which is the stress of trying to hold two contradictory ideas or motivations together in one mind. As humans, we absolutely hate cognitive dissonance, so we'll do almost anything to resolve it. And the easiest way is to have a drink, which will subdue the prefrontal cortex, and that's the bit of the brain trying to be sensible, and give us the short-term dopamine hit which will make everything feel okay for a while. Then we wake up at 3 a.m. full of regrets and start the cycle again. So this is the bind that we find ourselves in when we try to change our behaviour around drinking. As more time without a drink elapses, the war intensifies and we end up suffering and feeling deprived. Now, some people manage to power through this and become sober, perhaps with the help of frequent attendance at meetings for moral support. However, the process is painful for many, and it's not uncommon to hear of people attending meetings for 20 years and still craving alcohol. And sadly, people often return to drinking. This often carries a burden of shame and regret, which only adds to the cognitive dissonance they are experiencing, making it even harder to change. This naked mind approach is radically different because it tackles the root cause of the cognitive dissonance before we try to change behaviour. The approach is to rewire your subconscious beliefs about alcohol so that you no longer desire it. This is possible because of a process that happens in the brain called neuroplasticity. This is the process by which new neural pathways are created and reinforced by changing our mental processes. This amazing process means that the brain never stops learning, and if we intentionally work to create new patterns of thought, belief and emotion, the brain will reinforce them by strengthening these neural pathways. Now, this is not achieved by hypnotism or any kind of tricks, but by following 3 simple steps. The first is knowledge, understanding what alcohol does to our bodies and understanding its place in society and the roles it has come to play in our lives. Secondly, emotion, changing our emotions around alcohol by examining and changing our subconscious beliefs. And that's done by reflection and journaling, and this is one of those things that can be greatly accelerated and embedded by coaching. And then thirdly, we have action, putting on our metaphorical white coats and getting really curious about our drinking, finding out what it does for us and what it doesn't do, and what it's like to stop for a while. Here too, coaching can help us to reflect and understand our own experiences with drinking or not. Now, while people are working through this, we encourage them not to stop drinking. And now I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the idea is that people do not learn if they're struggling with cognitive dissonance. Obviously, if they've already stopped, then there's no need to start again. So how did this work for me? My relationship with alcohol had plenty of ups and downs over the years. As soon as I could get away with going to pubs, I started drinking. I would have been about 15 years old. And going to university, I naturally sought out other drinkers to hang with, and very drunken nights were common. I drank heavily throughout my 20s, and then after my 30th birthday, I had a horrific hangover and woke up with a heavily bruised elbow, having fallen badly, and I decided to take a break from drinking. That lasted 6 months and I felt much better, but then I had the thought that if I just stuck maybe to small bottles of beer, I would be fine. You can probably guess how that went. My drinking slowed down when our daughter was born, but a few years later I was offered a job that would require me to be away from home during the week. Staying in hotels, I found I was now drinking every day, partly through boredom. Staying in hotels gets old very quickly, and partly because I could, with no parental responsibilities. I would come home for the weekend and often go for lunch with my family, which would involve a few drinks, and then feeling slightly hungover in the afternoon, I would invariably drink in the evening to take the edge off. I could see really clearly that this was damaging my health, but I just could not contemplate life without alcohol. That is why Annie's book seemed like a lifeline. She was offering a way to not only enjoy life without alcohol, but even suggesting that my life would massively improve. Above all, she was offering hope, and that was something in pretty short supply at the time. So I finished the book and decided to try life without alcohol. Now, my process was not linear, and I have subsequently come to understand that it rarely is. But by the end of that year, I had stopped completely, and I've not had a drink since. The improvement in my quality of life has been extraordinary. I immediately began to feel healthier, and my sleep was amazing. I still find waking up in the morning feeling refreshed and alert something just little short of miraculous. I never used to consider myself a morning person, I wonder why. But now I get up early, I meditate, have some breakfast and spend an hour working on a music project before I start work. I started a yoga practice and learned how to make dance music. I'd never really considered myself to be a creative person, but I've surprised myself and made tunes that people like and download. I've become interested in spirituality, particularly Eastern philosophies such as Advaita Vedanta. And I feel this has enriched my experience of life and my ability to live in gratitude and be more in the present moment. Perhaps the biggest benefit, though, has been that I don't have the disgust and self-loathing that I felt when I was drinking too much. I would make promises to myself that I wasn't going to drink tonight, or if I was going to a social event, I would keep my drinking to just a few, only to break the promises and wake up angry and disgusted with myself. If you're unfamiliar with the coaching process, let me give you an idea of what's involved. The sporting coach role is similar in some ways. Let's say you were a golfer and found that you started slicing your drives. If you went to a coach, they would watch you swing and strike the ball and observe what's happening. They would probably spot something that was affecting your drive. Perhaps your stance needed correcting, or your grip, or something else. I don't play golf, so I'm just guessing here. The point is that they would notice by observing you closely something about which you were probably unaware. You would be unaware of it because you've executed thousands of golf swings and it's become automatic. You've learned to hit the ball using your unconscious mind to guide your hands. The coaching role is similar in that we help our clients expose their subconscious thoughts and feelings. Once they're discovered, then we can help the client find new beliefs and emotions that serve them better. They can correct their swing in effect. The amazing thing about this process is that alcohol is just the start. Once you start to become aware of your thoughts and limiting beliefs, then there is no end to the emotions that can be shifted and behaviours that can be modified, so you can start to live to your full potential, to find happiness, equanimity, creativity, productivity, service to others, and an infinitely more fulfilling life. Now, of course, I don't flow through life on a cloud of bliss, nobody does. But I've learned to become aware of my moods, emotions and thoughts, and be able to shift my perspective to change them so I don't stay in a bad place for long. I hope that I can help you, either by you having read something I've written that resonates with you and helps you to make a change in your life, or by coaching you if that's something you'd like. However you wish to travel, I wish you every success and happiness in your journey. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe, and below I will put some links to some resources that I think you'll find useful. Thanks for watching.